All right, here we are. We are back for, what is this, the fifth week? We've made it 5 weeks. The fifth week of Therapeutic Thursday. Just a simple introduction that I still haven't typed out, so it doesn't sound concise or professional yet. But the whole purpose of this is ideally to create a community. To where every Thursday, currently the time will be 1 to 3 p.m. Pacific. We had a little later start because I had to get some other things done today. But that should be the typical. Or I might move it to 2 to 4 because the lawn guys are done by then. But again, it's to build a community in which we can kind of decompress and kind of have like free association, talk about things, have discourse, whether it's you have a question or a topic that you would like me specifically to talk about. You can message me privately or message me on the Twitch live platform, or when I upload it on YouTube, you can put it in the YouTube comments. And you can specify if you would like it to be an open forum, an open discussion amongst me and everybody else who happens to be watching. Or if you just want to hear my opinion, my anecdotes, my, whatever from that. But yeah, this is not professional advice. This is not a replacement for professional therapy. While I will be licensed in the future, I am not currently. So I am just a student and technically always will be. So this is just for pure conversation. I'm not going to give any like protocols. It's not my job currently to give diagnoses or anything like that. If you have a serious issue, talking about it here is a good start, but or in another version of this, what's up, cosine? But you should seek professional help to get the best possible outcome. All of our health, physical, physiological, and mental, it's all intertwined. It's all important. If you work your body out, why not work your mind? Work on all aspects of your life to improve your life. So again, to reiterate, this is not professional advice. This is not me giving protocols. This is not any of that. It's just open talk, free speech. Harsh criticisms towards another individual will not be tolerated. Harsh comments will be removed on the YouTube. I want this to be like a safe environment for people to just come, decompress, vent, talk, learn, teach. I'm still learning. So if there's any information that I say that is incorrect, let me know. But if you let me know, also give me your source so I can not validate your words, but learn. I could read the source and see where it comes from. So today's topic, in lieu of conversation, in lieu of anybody having anything they want specifically to talk about, or something that's going on in their life, or whatever the case may be, we're going to talk about motivation. Again, if during the live stream, if anybody wants to talk about anything, that takes priority over whatever topic I have for the day. The end goal and the main purpose of this is interaction amongst each other. But until I get a following for it, until I have more people to talk to, talk about, talk with, it kind of turns into a little TED Talk, a little podcast. But during it, feel free at any point to air whatever you want to say, within reason. and I will pivot. We'll talk about that, and then find a good spot to pivot back to this if there's nothing left to continue talking about. So with that, since cosine, I see you were here, is there, before I start talking about motivation, is there anything specific that you want to talk about? Anything on your mind, anything troubling you, anything, just peeving you, whatever the case may be? No thanks, not today. All right, no problem. Gotta get ready for work soon. All right, well, I appreciate you coming in before work. Thank you for that. So today I did tailor it like I did 2 episodes ago, so it will be a little more reading what I have typed out, outlined, and going off of that. So it will seem a little more structured than some of the other versions, some of the other days. So if that's the case, we'll begin, and if there's no questions by the end of it, then I'll just wrap up the video. Alrighty, so what is motivation? Motivation is going to be your internal drive that pushes you to take action towards your goals, wants, desires, whatever. It's the spark that gets you moving and going even during tough times. The easiest way to think of it is motivation is like the engine of a car. It powers your behavior. It also propels you forward towards your dreams, your goals, your aspirations, what have you. Hey, Burnaby, how you doing? So without motivation, it's incredibly challenging to make progress in areas of life. Oh, and hey, little Peter. Sorry, you got a sandwich between that. How you doing, bud? Without the motivation, it is incredibly challenging to make progress in any area of your life, whether it's personal development, career growth, or maintaining just healthy relationships, friendships, romantic, family, whatever. Without motivation, it is very hard to maintain any of that. So let's break it down. Motivation is broken into 2 main forms, intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsic is the motivation from within. So basically, you're motivated because it makes you happy. You're motivated because it makes you fulfilled. You have an internal desire, and that's what's motivating you. Or you have an internal goal, and that's what motivates you. Extrinsic is the external. So whatever's motivating you externally, whether it be money, whether it be praise, approval, affirmations. I miss having motivation to achieve my goals. Yeah. We'll talk a little bit of like steps you can take, if they work for you or if they don't, whatever, to kind of rebuild your momentum and your motivation. Because another anecdote, but I'll talk about how I myself, I had the idea to do this for about a year now, and I only started doing it 5 weeks ago. And last week I had like no motivation. If I let my brain win, I wouldn't have come on last week. And last week, actually, we had a lot of conversation. I had a topic to talk about. It was motivation, but we got sidetracked and talking and conversing. So, it was for me, it was a good thing, good reason to do it. So yeah, motivation, I have a severe lack of motivation especially in my current situation. So I completely understand. And hopefully this talk can help us all kind of find a little bit of motivation, or at least have the stepping stones to rebuilding our motivation. Because again, motivation, willpower, It's a finite resource. You have to use that motivation and that willpower to create healthy and positive habits, because again, habits become habitual. So you don't, they require a lot less energy and motivation and willpower to follow through with them because they become routine. But anyways, so how we use motivation is, we basically use it in every aspect of our lives. Whether it's getting up early to go to the gym, studying for an exam, working towards a promotion at work. It's motivation that fuels our actions and intentions. It's what makes us persevere when we're faced with those challenges and adversity, and helps you stay focused on your long-term goals. Consider the simple act of getting out of bed in the morning. It may seem mundane, but motivation is what helps you overcome the comfort of your warm bed and to start your day. I don't know how many times, especially lately, that I wake up at like 9. I'll lay it, if I don't have to get up, sometimes I'll just lay in bed until like 11:30, and then I'm like, oh, man, now I'm like starting my day at 12, but I've been awake since 8. It kind of compounds, because when you do that, or at least when I do that, I kind of feel like a shit person, or I feel like I'm just wasting away, which makes me feel worse about myself and worse about my situation. So, motivation is also just that simple act of getting out of bed in the morning. And similarly, when you're working on a challenging project, like at work, at school, whatever, motivation is what keeps you going, even when you'd rather be doing something more enjoyable. That's motivation, and also discipline. And discipline could be another topic that we talk about for sure. It's also what drives us to pursue hobbies and interests, invest in our relationships, and continue seeking personal growth. All of that requires motivation to just become a better person, to invest in yourself, your friends, your hobbies. Sometimes like football or working out used to be a hobby of mine. Now I dread it, mostly because I have a torn quadricep, separated acromioclavicular, AC joint. So I have excuses, but at this point in my life, they're not really reasons. The shoulder I've lived with for a while. The leg, the torn quad is new, but not like it's already healed to the point where I can go now, and I have been a little bit. But I remember that when you had the motivation to do things or achieve my goals, I was able to get things done that you never imagined you could do. Exactly. Like, lack of motivation can also create fears. It can create doubts. It can create insecurities that will give you excuses and reasons to continue having a lack of motivation. But when you have that motivation, like, it's been a while for me, but like when you experience that wake up, you're like, no, I'm grabbing today by the haunches and humping it into submission. Dodgeball reference. Sorry if you don't get it. Patches O'Houlihan. When you have that motivation, like, you just simply having the motivation makes it feel like you can conquer the world, or you can at least conquer what's in front of you. And you just got out of bed, Burnaby. So it's very important to understand it, to know what it is. Most people have a general understanding of what motivation is. They know, like, oh, I'm not motivated, but they don't always know what that means for them, why it is, and how to change that. So we'll go into why. Why do we lack motivation? We've all been there. The days where getting out of bed feels impossible, or starting that project, starting your essay, currently for me, I've started it. I have a rough draft of it, but my personal statement to Pepperdine, it feels impossible to do. You just feel overwhelmed, or you just feel like, I don't know. And some of the factors are, one, you're burnt out. When you're overworked, exhausted, your motivation tanks. That's goes back to what I was saying. Motivation and willpower, those are finite resources. You cannot rely on that, because that will go away sooner or later. You have to use that to create positive habits, and also understand that it is finite. So when you don't have the motivation, you don't beat yourself up. You understand, like, you know what, today's not my day. I need a me day. I need to recharge. I need to refuel. So I need to maybe safely and with moderation go pleasure seeking now. I need, or even, I don't even know if that would be a good thing, because then you're still using your motivation. But when you're burnt out, you need to take a break. It's prolonged stress that can leave you physically and emotionally drained, and making it difficult to muster energy to even brush your teeth, or just simple things, make your bed, wake up. And then number 2 would be fear of failure. Sometimes the fear of not succeeding and rejection can paralyze you. And just the fear of that failure can make it hard for you to even start. It stems from previous experiences, or from high expectations, whether intrinsically you have high expectations of yourself, or extrinsically, others have a high expectation of you, and you don't want to let them down, or you're afraid of letting them down. So the pressure to perform, and the fear of failure is a really strong barrier from taking action. And that will give you lack of motivation. So understanding where your lack comes from, whether it's burnout, fear of failure, or lack of clear goals, without purpose. Like humans, we love purpose. For whatever your purpose is, we love purpose. And when we don't feel like we have a purpose, we're unmotivated. So without clear goals, defined clear goals, it's hard to know where you should be directing your energy. So it just kind of leaks out. It goes everywhere. So when your goals are vague or unrealistic, you can become discouraged. Because if they're vague, you don't have a clear direction. You don't know where you're going. Or if they're just unrealistic, like, I'm 35. Am I? 34. If my goal right now is to become a professional NFL player, it's unrealistic. That's just not going to happen. Even if I work my ass off at it, just that ship has sailed for me. But having that goal and like truly believing in it would be kind of daunting. So that would be lack of clear goals. Little Peter says, I don't like the word discipline, but I think I don't like it because it's what I lack in several areas of my life. Yeah. If you don't like something, you should ask yourself why. You should ask yourself why you don't like it. Really dig deep into that. But it seems like you already kind of have a reasonable reasoning as to why you don't like the word discipline. But yeah, again, I'll create maybe next week for sure. Not maybe. We'll talk about discipline instead of motivation. And then the last one that we're going to talk about on why you can lack motivation is just emotional distress. Whether it's anxiety, depression, or any other mental health issue, that can obviously severely impact your motivation levels. When you're struggling emotionally, it can be challenging to find the motivation to engage in activities, even ones that you find enjoyable and fulfilling. I'm sure we've all been through some breakup of some kind, some heartbreak, a loss of someone you love, whatever the case may be. if I normally love going to the movies and that's my meditation, that's my therapy, that's just something I can go do and have fun. When I'm in a situation like that where I just got my heart broken, whatever, I don't even want to do that. And that's something that's highly pleasurable to me. Um, so, understanding where your lack of motivation comes from really helps you understand what you need to do to start taking the steps to get out of that. But again, the first thing is recognizing it. Like, this is what's going on. Can we ask me? Oh, that's a good thing, right? Some words in English. I don't know. Well, yeah, little Peter is a Brazilian, so Portuguese is his natural language. You're in that part now, trying to find purpose. I've always been driven by relationships, and I learned I'm a love addict. I was definitely that for the longest portion of my life. So driven for me has been wrong, if that makes sense to you. It's a very good thing. It makes me feel not alone, and that's the whole purpose of this. One of the purposes of this. I can also, I did anything for love. I used to believe that love was the first step in me becoming the person that I was trying to be. I always told myself, and whenever I was propositioning, wooing significant others, I like, this is where I'm at in my career, but I know if I had a healthy romantic relationship, it would just fuel my fire even more. It would just make me want to be that better person. Like, I want to be with someone that makes me a better person. And while that's nice, and yes, that should happen, but that shouldn't be the reason why you're not. And that, even now, I don't fully realize it. I intellectually understand it, but I don't fully, like, my brain, my physiology, my motivations haven't had the realization yet that me not, I am in love now, and like, I'm in a healthy relationship, but that shouldn't be the reason or the main reason why I want to be a better person, and why I should be waiting to become that better person, or not putting forth my best effort to be the best version of myself, because at those times I didn't have that relationship. So that was my version of being a love addict. Is there's a lot more to it that we've talked about in other episodes, but that's let's get rid of that. But yeah, it's it can be tough for sure. But now let's break it down, because I'm always fascinated by the chemical, like the neurological, the physiological things that are going on in your body in these times, because to me that breaks it down even further to a way that you can have a better understanding of what you need to do, or how it affects you. So we're going to get a little scientific for a moment, talk about what happens in your brain when it comes to motivation. So motivation is heavily influenced by, ding, 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 talked about it many times, dopamine. Your motivation, your reward factor, your pleasure seeking. It's a neurotransmitter brain that is often referred to as the feel-good chemical. Dopamine is crucial for motivation because it's involved in the brain's reward system. When we achieve something, or even anticipate achieving something, our brain releases dopamine, which makes us feel good and reinforces that behavior. You can operate condition. It's operant conditioning, but I don't know the phrasing in which you could do that to yourself. But you can self-operant condition yourself. Reward yourself for behaviors you want to reinforce to build up a habit in which you want to continue doing it. So let's get back. However, if your dopamine levels are out of whack, too low, for instance, you can feel unmotivated or sluggish. So, lack of the neurotransmitter dopamine could, or probably for most people, is a huge reason they don't have motivation, because their dopamine is not firing the way it should, or you're not rewarding yourself enough to keep motivation going. The other thing that can impact it, like physiologically, chemically, is stress. Stress plays a huge role in your motivation levels. Chronic stress, so repeated stress, long-term stress, to elevated levels of cortisol, which is your stress hormone, stress chemical. High, my brain. Chronic stress leads to high elevations of cortisol, which is your stress hormone. And high cortisol over an extended period can interfere with various brain functions, including motivation. Not limited to, but including motivation. This is why managing stress is crucial for maintaining motivation. So if you find yourself as being not motivated because you're severely stressed, you got to get to the bottom of what's stressing you out and come to terms to certain extents with that stress. If it's a financial situation and you don't see a clear out, it can be very difficult. Not can be, it will be very difficult. But for me personally, when I'm in a situation of financial distress, I just try to look at things of what can I control. If there's stuff that is out of my control, I cannot let that interfere with what I do have control over. So if I have no control over me getting a job, in the sense of I'm doing what I am in control of, I'm applying, I'm going to interviews, I'm practicing and brushing up on my interview techniques, I'm making sure my resume is top notch, I'm doing all the things that are in my power. I cannot let what's out of my control, the rejection, the feeling of whatever, the extrinsic things, I can't let that affect me, at least to a extent that I'm no longer applying, because then nothing's gonna happen. So understanding your stress and trying to really lay out what is in my control, what's not in my control. Well, this is in my control, then I need to do what's in my control and not let what's out of my control affect it. It's hard and it's easier said than done, but you got to have that mantra, you got to have that mentality. So another chemical, physiological reason is physical health impacts your motivation. Poor sleep, inadequate nutrition, lack of exercise, all of that and more can impact your brain chemistry, which impacts your motivation levels, your emotional regulation as well. We've talked about that in other episodes. Like having that full mind body, so mind, physical and physiological connection is super important, and maintaining that in some way is just profoundly beneficial for your overall health, mentally, how well you can handle situations, and how well you can generate your motivation. So, without further ado, here are some practical steps that you can do to kind of get yourself with a sense of purpose, or just have a layout in which you have check marks that you can actually see progress. You know, a couple weeks back, couple episodes back, we talked about um, when you have a large goal, you have to break it down, because a large goal, just having it, for the majority of people, some people, they have a big goal and they're like, I got this. A lot of people, they think they're that person, but they're not. They have a big goal, they're motivated for a week or two, and then the goal is still so far away, and they feel like they've put in so much work already and not seeing the payout, that they get unmotivated. So you have to reward yourself. You have to give yourself a basis. You know, I understand people who can't do it. I mean, can't. You always can, but you know, writing a journal, it's not for me. I know it would help me, but it's not for me. But I should still give it a try. But writing a journal, not, you can have it as a diary, sure, but for me, I'm talking more about having a daily checklist of what I feel and what I think would make me better. What I like, have a normal day where I'm not doing anything different, and have that checklist and mark off the things that I've done. And then try to implement step by step those things that are on what I believe, for me to be a better person, I need to do. And I can mark those off. And that's in progress of a goal. So, you know, if my goal is to be healthy and pass all my classes, okay, well, what are the steps to be healthy, and what are the steps to pass my classes, and what am I doing right now? What is my baseline right now? I would have that baseline of what I know I need to do, what I think I need to do, what I should do on a checklist. And without trying to hit any of those, I would just go throughout my day and then check off at the end of the day what I did. And then purposely try and implement that checklist day by day by day. Not the whole thing at once, but day by day. So if I'm feeling unmotivated, I'm like, damn, I'm still not like healthy. I'm still not this. You know, I'm still struggling in class. But now I can look back and go, but I've gotten better. Because day one of this, I wasn't even brushing my teeth the way I should be. Day one of this, I was drinking 8 ounces of water. I was having 20 grams of protein. I was looking at a school book for 10 minutes. And now I can just visibly see I am on a better path. And that can help me continue with my motivation. If I don't have that, and after 2-3 weeks of me doing better, I'm not where I want to be, I could be like, whatever, fuck it. Sorry for my language, but you know, screw it. It's not going to be for me. No. So anyways, let's get back to what I've actually typed out. It's basically what I kind of said, but this would be more concise. So set clear goals. Having specific goals gives you direction to aim for. And again, as human beings, we live on purpose. Walking around and living your life without purpose in itself is just unmotivating. Like, if you don't have something to work towards, a person you want to become, like a better version of yourself, you know, whatever your goal or purpose is, if you don't have that, it just makes sense that you don't have motivation. Because what if you had motivation, what would it be for? Even if you, like, you know, I could see people falling into a trap. I don't know the research, so I can't say for certainty, but this is opinion, that there's a trap of when I sit around with no motivation and no purpose, that I think to myself, I don't have motivation. I am incapable at this current situation of having motivation. But in reality, I'm someone who's highly motivated, but I don't have a purpose. So, in this situation, this hypothetical for someone like me, all I need is that purpose, and the motivation follows because I'm a highly motivated individual. But since I have felt a lack of purpose for a while, my motivation, in consequence, has diminished. So, again, have clear, specific goals that give you a direction to aim for. Little Peter says, I have a friend from college who writes in a notebook all the goals she wants to achieve that week. And that's great. Like, some people make fun of that person, but in all honesty, that keeps you on track. That keeps you motivated. That keeps you going, because you can look back and say, this is what I've done. This is proof of what I've done. I can't fill in the gaps in my brain. I can't construe that in any negative or inflated way. I have the evidence. This is what I've done. And this is how I've gotten better. And that can motivate you. She paints the goals she can achieve in green, writes next to what her motivation was to achieve that goal. And that's very detail oriented. That's, however it works for you. For me, I personally wouldn't go that deep for myself. If you have that capability, again, everybody has capability to an extent, but if you don't have that mental block like I do, then yeah, get as descriptive as possible so you can, again, have this evidence for yourself. We are our biggest critics. We will beat ourselves up more than anybody else will beat ourselves up. To, within certain parameters. Obviously, there's relationships and things like that could be worse. But overall, we beat ourselves up more than anybody else. And, episode 2, day 2, we talked about perception versus reality. Or was that day 1? I don't know. Our perception of the situation is hardly ever the reality. If I'm in a bad mood, a bad state of mind, and someone bumps into me on the street, they could have had, and 99% of the time, they had zero intentions of doing that. There was no animosity, there was no anything. But because my perception of it is they did that intentionally, now I'm pissed off. And now I'm projecting my frustrations onto them. And so perception, again, that's we hinted at that. We talked about it for like 2 hours earlier on, but there's still a lot more to talk about just in that by itself. We can go back to that later. But she's extremely organized, one of the best students I've met, and she suffers from depression and panic syndrome. Yeah. So I don't know the credibility of these studies. I haven't looked into them. I've just heard about them. But they say people with higher IQ are typically the ones that are, or not typically, but they do have a higher susceptibility to depression. I would maybe argue it's more or less people who are overly observant or critical are more likely to be depressed because they analyze everything. They try to break down the whys and whats and hows, and it's draining and exhausting. Same word. So yeah, being smart doesn't save you from mental illness, not at all. And again, something that I know I fall into is I would have a hard time going to a therapist. I mean, I don't think I'd actually have a hard time going to a therapist if I had the money. I would just do it. But in theory, if I would have a hard time going to a therapist because I would think I'm too smart for the therapist. They would recommend me to do something, and since I've already learned it, I'd be like, yeah, I mean, you're recommending stuff that I already know. And that just won't work on me because I know how it works. I know why you're telling me to do this. And sometimes that like intelligence that I know hurts you the most. Being smart doesn't save you, sometimes condemn you even more. Exactly. Um, so anyways, back to this. So breaking down, once you have a goal and you have a direction, something that you're aiming for, you want to break it down into smaller, manageable tasks to avoid feeling overwhelmed. There's an acronym, an easy one. It's called the SMART criteria. Specific, measurable, again, so you can see where you started and see where you're at. Achievable, so something that, as it says, you can realistically achieve. Relevant, make sure that there's some version or some relevancy, some importance to what your goal is, and time bound. So specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. SMART. And that's to set goals that are realistic and attainable. Next, after you've set your goals, you want to create a routine. Routine helps automate certain tasks, reducing the mental energy required to get started. That's what I was talking about, of willpower and everything is a finite resource, but if you use that willpower to create positive habits, they become routine. They become habitual, which requires less motivation and less energy to perform those tasks. So if brushing your teeth requires a lot of motivation in the morning because you're so down in the dumps, you're so depressed, you're so lack motivated, whatever, in the beginning, brushing your teeth, that sucks up your motivation. But the more you do it, the less energy is required and the more habitual it becomes. And now you can focus whatever tank of motivation you have on the next task. That's why it's you do it in steps. You don't do everything at once. Do it in steps. So incorporate habits that support your goals, such as setting time aside each day for exercise or working on that specific project. Next, steps to build better motivation. Prioritize self-care. Take care of your physical and mental health. Ensure you're getting enough sleep. Eat well. That's not to say cut out all bad foods. That's not to say get on a strict diet. Just make sure you're getting at least a decent amount of the nutrition you need. Like, that's it. That's it. You don't need to go on some crazy diet. You don't need to do anything too drastic. If you never eat vegetables, start eating, think, damn, Wednesday, broccoli day. Eat broccoli. There's this idea, thanks to society and advertisements, that food needs to taste good. The purpose of food is not taste. The purpose of food is nourishment. Don't get me wrong. When something tastes like shite, I don't want to eat it. And sometimes if it tastes like shite, it's because there's something in it that's your body's like, this isn't safe, or this isn't good to eat. But if it's like just broccoli or asparagus and you just don't like the taste, unless you just have some crazy gag reflex because of it, eat it. You have pleasurable food, but you also have nourishing food. Your body needs nourishment to feel up to task, to do things. Unfortunately, you need to go to the hospital again. Sorry if I interrupted or changed the subject. Thank you for the conversation. See you guys later. All right, little Peter. I'm glad you're 99% better. 99% better. That was your report yesterday. So hopefully after this, you can report back even better than 99%. Appreciate you coming in. And get well. Good luck at the hospital. So again, eat well, and if capable, exercise regularly to any extent, just Find a way to exercise. It doesn't need to be some crazy gym routine. It doesn't need to be anything like, well, I can't do this, so I might as well just not work out. I fall into that where I'm like, man, my shoulder, I can't bench press. Bench was my favorite exercise. Get them big old boobies. Ugh, give me that gorilla body. Can't do that anymore, so why even bother? Those are just excuses. There's other alternatives. There's other things other than lifting weights. Although resistance training has been proven, whether it's weights, bands, whatever, but resistance training has insane health benefits, especially as you age. Bone density, cardiac, all of that. But regardless, in any way that you can, exercise. Whatever gets your heart rate pumping a little bit. When I tore my quad, I'm still hesitant to do any legs, like strength training, but I can still use my arms. And at the gym, they have like this arm bike. That's like a full arm, body, upper body, back, everything, because you're pulling it, it's resisting, you're pushing it. They have that. That's exercise. That works too. Just getting a hand squeegee thingy. That's a stress reliever. That's a form of exercise. I don't think that should be your only exercise, but it's better than not doing anything at all. So exercise regularly. Self-care can significantly boost your energy and motivation. And remember, self-care isn't just bubble baths and relaxation. It's also about setting boundaries, saying no when necessary, and making time for activities that rejuvenate you. So, if you want to go out and drink, but you shouldn't because you have certain goals in mind, you need to be able to say no when necessary. You need to be able to tell your friends no. You need to be able to tell yourself, no, not right now. Next step. So we've talked about set clear goals, create a routine, prioritize your self-care, and now use positive reinforcement. Reward yourself for completing tasks, no matter how small they are. Again, if you associate dopamine release with a task, your brain will start telling you this is a good thing to do. Whatever it is, this is a good thing to do because dopamine is being released. So reward yourself regularly, but proportionately. Don't go out there and be like, whoa, after every little task, I take a little sniff. And it's like, no. A, that shouldn't be a reward regardless, but it's a dopamine receptor influencer. But it's like, give yourself equivalent rewards. If I love ice cream, which I do, if I have a small task such as, let's just listen to one of my lectures today for school, I'll listen to it, and you know what? I'll give myself 2 bites of ice cream because I earned it. 2 bites of ice cream, 1 bite of ice cream isn't going to, unless I'm lactose, affect my health, affect much of anything, but it's just enough of a equal reward for the task that it's rewarding enough where I'm like, yeah, all right, I earned this little scoop of ice cream. And now if I want another one, this is where self-restraint comes in, because yeah, I can just have another one, but it's like, no. If I want another one, gotta listen to another lecture or half of another lecture. Give yourself rewarding rewards that reinforce your positive habits. So positive reinforcement can increase dopamine release, reinforcing the behavior and boosting your motivation. Find rewards that are meaningful to you, not to others. Meaningful to you. So ice cream, meaningful to me. Very meaningful. I have a separate stomach just for ice cream. That could be a meaningful reward for me on smaller tasks. So again, whether it's taking a break to enjoy your favorite activity, playing a video game, watching a show, bird watching, whatever, treating yourself to something special, like that bite of ice cream, or for a bigger task, going out to eat at a restaurant that you, I don't know, were afraid to try. Treat yourself to something special, and then reflect on it. Acknowledge your achievements. Go back and see where your baseline was. If you're journaling it, go back, see where that baseline was, and see where you're at now. Be proud of yourself, because that's going to continue this motivation. That's going to continue the dopamine release with these tasks that are beneficial and healthy for you. So you want to continue them. So that was positive reinforcement. Number 5, find your why, your purpose. Understand why you want to achieve your goal. I want to be rich. Why? Well, I want to have nice things. Why? What do nice things represent to you? Is that your love language? Surrounding yourself with nice things, is that affirmation to you? Is that rewarding to you? It wouldn't be for me, because I just don't prioritize that. And I don't view that as a representation of the true happiness and success of somebody. But other people have that mentality. So why? Just saying I want to be rich, or I want to be healthy, I want to have a family. Why? Why do you want a family? It sounds like a stupid question to ask, but no, really, like, why? Why do you want that family? Do you want the legacy? Do you want to, which is not advised by any psychologist or anything, do you want to live vicariously through that child and try to give them more opportunity than you had, so you can look back and be like, if I had the same opportunity that I gave my kids, look how successful my kids are. They're doing way better than I was at their age. And now I take pride in that. Sure. As long as you're not doing it at their detriment and you're not forcing them to do things. But like, why do you want a family? Why is family important to you? Is it because you didn't have a family? Is it because you didn't feel the love from your family, so you want to create that to show that you're capable? Is it selfish reasons, which to some extent are fine? Everybody's selfish. Everybody has selfish reasons for doing almost anything. If I go out to help somebody, if I go do charity work, most of the time it's all not altruistic. It's for selfish reasons. I want to feel good about myself. And me helping others makes me feel good about myself. And if it's not harming anybody, and in fact it's helping people, then go on with your selfish self. That's a tongue twister. Go on with your selfish self. If it's for the betterment of other people. And even if it's not for the betterment of other people, if it's not hurting anybody else, okay, be selfish. We're humans. Most of the things we do are self-driven. They're intrinsic reasons. So again, find your why. Why do you want to do this thing? Is it truly important to you? Or is it important to someone else? And if it's important to someone else and not you, then that's maybe why you don't have motivation to do it. Find why. And the other thing is, if you're doing a why that's not your own. The train was choo-chooing, and then it crashed. I forgot where I was going with that, but it was going to be profound. So let's just think I said something profound and your mind is blown. But really, like, you have to understand. I felt it though. You have to understand why you're doing something. and break it down to its base level. Because if you think your why is super important, but you're not motivated, there's the other factors we've talked about, but there's also the factor of it's not important to you. You've made it important to you because it's important to others. But it's the whole thing of like, well, maybe bad analogy, but it's the whole thing of if you're in a relationship with someone who, they say they want to change, but until if they don't want to change for themselves, they're only wanting to change for you. It's a band-aid. It's momentary. That's it. The person themselves has to be motivated and has to have a strong enough why to change. You cannot, most times, change for another person. Hey, Anton, how you doing? But you most people cannot change for another person sustainably. You have to find your internal reasons for things. So find your why, understand why you want to achieve your goals, have a strong personal reason behind your actions, or having a strong personal reason behind your actions can provide a deeper source of motivation. Reflect on what truly matters to you and how your goals align with your values and long-term aspirations. Again, it's not about, even if you find satisfaction through other people, you have to find out why that is. But it's more sustainable and more meaningful to you as a human, as a person, whatever, to have that motivation and find what you truly want to do and why you want to be this version of yourself, why this is your goal. Break it down. All right, so we've talked about set your clear goals. SMART. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. So give yourself a time frame. Create a routine which supports your goals. Prioritize your self-care. Take care of yourself. It's easier to have motivation to get things done when you have taken care of yourself. Use positive reinforcement. Reward yourself for the little achievements along the way. That'll keep you going. That'll release dopamine for your for your smaller tasks that keep you motivated to do them for the bigger goal, and then give yourself a good reward for the big goal. Find your why. Why is this your goal? Why is this important to you? Again, if it's not important to you and it's important to other people, but other people are important to you, it's going to be a lot harder for you to stay motivated because it's not you wanting to do it. Like, do the task. You want to appease and please other people, but the goal isn't your own. And if it's not your own, you're going to lack motivation to do it. Number 6. I'm going to need this VOD to take notes for sure. Like I said, I posted on YouTube. On YouTube, I'll at the end of the stream, I'll show the YouTube, so you can give it a subscription, a follow, and like the video. So number 6, surround yourself with support. We've talked about this before about weeding out toxic people. I'm not a big fan of just cold turkeying, cutting them out, but spend less time with toxic people for sure. Like if they have meaning to you as a person, I don't recommend just cutting them out. I'd just ease away, but be upfront. Be like, hey, I need to take time to step away from this relationship because we're not headed in a direction, or it's not helping me head in the direction that I want to head. I love you. You're still one of my best friends, and we can still hang out, but unless we can come to some better productivity or better whatever it is for you, I gotta chill. So surround yourself with support. Surround yourself with people who support and encourage you. If you got people who are doubting you, You need one or two of those, right, to ground you. You need maybe just one of those kind of naysayers to be like, I don't know, is that real? To really make you think about it. But everybody else, not to say that they should support every dumb idea or smart idea or terrible idea or great idea you have, but you need to surround yourself with people who encourage you and support you. Even if surrounding yourself is you have that one person that you can go to. That's okay. Like I this is just a quick thought, so it could change. But like, I don't like when people use the terminology, and I still use it because, whatever, of like surround yourself with people who support you, because then to some people I feel like it could exclude them, because to them they're like, I only have like 3 friends. That's not enough to surround. I mean, they'd be in front of me on the side, like they'd be holding hands and I'd be squeezed in the middle, but they can't surround me really. So like, the surround yourself with people, just have a support system, whether it's one person or many people that encourage you and support you. Positive social interactions will boost your mood and your motivation. If I go to someone or like, hey dude, I brushed my teeth and made my bed today, and I have that friend that's like, dude, that's fucking awesome. Like, good for you, man. Like, I know how hard that's been for you. Like, I'm proud of you. Just that. Even if they're like halfway joking, but they're still saying it with like love and care. That's like self-affirmation. Like, yeah. But if you have that friend that's like, hey, big whoop, dude. I do that every day. Like, you want a cookie? I can make you feel like shit. Again, you might want one of those in your group, so when you do have a big idea, they can kind of ground you and you can have a more real idea. But find those people that are like, that's odd, like, hell yeah. But also not afraid when you're like, oh yeah, I did something shitty, that they're like, I mean, that was kind of shitty of you, but you know what? That's not a reflection of who you are. You were just weak in that moment. Allow, what do we need to do to get back on track? Like, find those people. So anyways, seek out mentors, friends, and colleagues who inspire you and hold you accountable. Number 7, practice mindfulness and stress management. We talked about a little bit, like we talked about stress 2 episodes ago, and ways of alleviating stress, and that whole conversation. You can go back and watch that if you're interested, or if you want the like real deep nitty gritty, just watch Andrew Huberman, his podcast on it. It goes into way more depth than me. I mean, he's a PhD professor of neuroscience. But I brush around and talk about some of that stuff. But again, techniques like meditation, deep breathing, and mindfulness can help manage stress and keep your motivation levels steady. Regular mindfulness practice can improve your focus, reduce anxiety, and enhance your overall well-being. So mindfulness, it can look like just simply having nothing on, or having this tranquil music going on, and just letting your mind do whatever it needs to do. And when you have a thought, think that thought. Don't try to answer it. Move on to the next thought. It's not necessarily about clearing your mind where there's nothing in your mind. If you can reach that level, hey, good for you. I'm a guy, sometimes my mind just naturally goes blank. There's nothing in it. And then people are like, what are you thinking? And I'm like, oh, nothing. They're like, you got to be thinking something. And I'm like, no, I don't even know what I was thinking. There's nothing. But it's clearing your mind. My interpretation of that is, if you have something, if you have a thought, you move on, you clear it out. Whether it's positive or negative, you can be like, oh yeah, I saw a cute puppy today. All right, moving on to the next thought. And if you're having trouble doing that, that's why All these yogis and meditation experts and whatever tell you to focus on your breathing, because that can kind of focus your mind from being scattered to where you're just 1, 2, 3. When you're breathing out, analyze your body physiologically and physically. Like, my back kind of hurts. I kind of think I'm laying down or I'm leaning in this way. This is blah, 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 blah. This feels about like, just chill, relax a little bit. So that's number 7. There's a lot more to it, and there's protocols specifically in that category that you can look up. If you want me to talk about, I can look it up. We could have another episode on it, but we did have an episode on stress management already. And number 8, stay flexible. Be prepared to adapt your plans and goals as needed. Flexibility can prevent feelings of frustration and help maintain motivation, because life is unpredictable, and being able to adjust your approach can make a significant difference in staying motivated through challenges and setbacks. That's why I was saying don't go on some strict diet. Don't go on some crazy strict workout routine, especially if that's not what you've done before. Because when you stay on a strict diet, research shows a vast majority of people who go on a strict diet fail very quickly, and one of the number one reasons that they fail is because they had a incidental cheat day, felt bad about it, and just said, why am I even on this diet? And then they binge. Or they stay on the diet, they hit their goal, and then they binge. Stay flexible. Understand you're not a perfect human being. No one is. You're going to have these list of goals, and there's going to be a day where you don't even brush your teeth. Don't beat yourself up about it. Understand that is just one of those days, and move on. Because when you beat yourself up about it, you can spiral. So stay flexible. Adapt. If my goal was to become an NFL player, I tore my quadricep. I have to readjust my goal. Life happened. It sucks. But life happened. What can I do now? How do I adjust this goal? If not become an NFL player, can I become an athletic coach for NFL players? Can I don't know, whatever. Change, adapt. And yeah. So, in conclusion, motivation is a complex but crucial aspect in our lives. By understanding what it is, how it works, and the reasons behind our lack of it, we can take concrete steps to boost our motivation levels. And remember, as I just said, it's okay to have off days. But with the right strategies in place, you can keep moving forward towards your goals. That is about all I have to say on motivation. If anybody has any questions, anybody has any, whether it's about motivation, whether it's about life, whether it's about anything, if you have any questions, any concerns, if you want me to go over something that we've talked about, now is the time. Well, the whole stream is the time to ask it, as you can see. But now what I have to say is officially closed. If there's anything anybody wants to talk about, anything on their minds, now's the time to do it. I'll give it about a minute, 2 minutes. And if not, then I'm just going to wrap it up, conclude, upload this baby on the YouTube. I should probably also make a YouTube. Oh no, my music. a YouTube command that takes you to my YouTube. But if you go on here, this is the YouTube channel. It's just at SchneiderJS. I have the playlist, the Therapeutic Thursday. The Therapeutic Thursday playlist. And I guess some investing thing that I put a while back. But Therapeutic Thursday playlist right here. And I didn't add. Did I? Oh yeah, this is. Wait, am I still on me? I'm still on me. I'm a dum-dum. Here we go. We'll just go right here. So yeah, YouTube at SchneiderJS, Therapeutic Thursday, right here. If you miss an episode, you want to go back, watch an episode. It'll permanently be on here because I know Twitch removes them after so long. So again, for anybody on Twitch who is curious, here you go. At SchneiderJS. This is still new, still early. And hey, Bronze. Let's go back here. I have a question. A question about mental fog. Like when you get on a roll, you're following your new routine, everything is going not great, but not bad. It's simply fine and perfect, but suddenly I get sort of depressed and it's like I can't get out of it. It's like I become a person who longer cares about anything and I'm just depressed all the time until it passes. So I don't know how long you've been listening for this, like for today. So the specific brain fog, that could be another topic of like what it is. But with brain fog on your goals, one thing I could say, I don't know if you journal or log or have some report of it. But I talked about if you don't have something to look back on, you can lose motivation because you're not able to correctly assess the growth that you've made. Now, if the mental fog is as a result of a trauma or something happened that set you back, then in certain regards, you just have to deal with that to an extent. And if you can follow through with some of your routine, but you can't beat yourself up about it. You just simply can't, because if you do, you spiral, you ruminate. It doesn't lead to anything productive, or it doesn't lead to any healing. It just keeps reopening a wound. I'll just speak from my personal experience. When I was on track years ago, I was working a lot. I was making money, and I was auditioning for things as an actor. I felt like I was I was working out regularly again, because I go through ups and downs. Like some months I'm on it, and then months I don't even touch the gym. Very inconsistent with that. But I was on a roll, and I just started dating someone. Needless to say, we did not work out. And as we talked about earlier, I also am was until I had some self journeys, a love addict, and I love hard and fast. And after that hurt, I pulled back on that, but because it was like the fifth time. But I was just not motivated to do anything. I still did. I was like, I still have to pay my bills. So I still went to work, but I wasn't as chipper. I wasn't as happy. but I acknowledged it. I knew it. And this is just a me thing. I'm not saying you should be too, but I was just upfront about it. When people were like, oh man, like, you all right? You're not, like, usually you're singing in the hallways and dancing or like, joking with people, and you haven't been. And I was just upfront. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm depressed right now. Like, I understand that I'm depressed. I'm not angry about it. I'm not like, oh, I'm stupid, I'm weak, I'm this. I'm like, no, I'm depressed right now. And I know it'll pass, but my subconscious and my conscious need to find the connection to where I can move on. But that's just where I'm at right now. And I mean, man, I'm sure we've all felt like that, but I couldn't sleep. I had the knot in my stomach like 20 times a day. I would just get a knot in my stomach, and all these emotions would just start boiling up. And I'm like, oh, where's this coming from? Where I know where it's coming from, but I'm like, like, why now? And it only lasted, in comparison to other times that it's lasted, before I really understood myself more. The amount of time I was like in that depressive state was way less than previous. So if you are following a good routine, you are getting better, you have evidence of that, you're logging your evidence so you can look back on it to motivate yourself. When you get into the brain fog, my first question would be, what changed? Is this out of nowhere? Is this entirely out of nowhere? No dietary change, no physical change, no friendship changes, like out of the blue? If that's the case, then I am not the qualified person to talk to. It could be neurochemical. It could be like cyclical. Your body might be going through a cycle of hormones that just naturally happen for you, and you have to have a better understanding of that. That's a potential case. Again, I am not the person currently to really talk about that. But if that's how it feels, then I would talk to someone professionally, consult with someone. But if it is something that cogged your routine, figure out what that was. Like, what changed? Because most of the time, there's a paper trail. There's something that you can go back and go, oh shoot, I didn't even realize it, but that was about the same time that blah 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 happened. That was about the same time that Jerry got the promotion and I didn't. Whatever the case may be, you figure out what changed. And if it's something that's not in your control, then you figure out what you can control. And once you figure out what you can control, add that to the routine. Or just for that time being, put your normal routine on pause and be like, no, I got to sort this out first. This hurdle is going to prevent me from getting back on track. So let me fix this hurdle first. And be okay with that. Because it's life. Just be okay with that. I'm not saying be complacent. I'm not saying be satisfied with it. Just saying accept it, because that's the situation. And now revise your routine, your schedule, your whatever, with that in mind. But you have to be able to acknowledge it. You have to be able to not necessarily pinpoint, but understand, like, okay, something changed. What? It's hard to do that when you're depressed or falling into that depressive state. But you either just have to let it pass and it will take longer, or you have to take action. So that is kind of my advice / how I've kind of corrected that. Um, but, again, just know that it's a normal thing. Like, everybody, to certain extents, goes through it. I try to tell people all the time, um, like talking with friends who, when we talk about therapy, they're like, I don't trust a therapist because they're going to go off of everybody else's experiences and my experience is unique. And I tell them, no, sometimes it is. Almost every person in this world has shared a type of experience that someone else has had. Your individual experience, your momentary experience, is not unique usually, but the collection of your experiences, it's what makes you unique. But almost anything that you've been through, someone else has been through. Again, not all of the things you've been through, someone else has been through all of those things, but someone else on this planet has gone through, in that instance, almost exactly what you're going through. And what helped them can help you. You as a human are unique, sure, but we have a shared experience of this world and of this life. And understanding that not everything will work for you, but you can't not try because you don't think anything will work for you. Because if you think that, then nothing will work, because you're not going to try anything. And then you're not going to get better. Just as simple as that. So, I went kind of off on a different tangent there. But, I mean, is there anything, like, does that help, Bronze? Is there anything you want me to go, like, talk more about? And if it's something that I'm not fully adept or astute in, then I can research that, get more informed about it, and we can talk about it again when I have more of an arsenal, more of a toolbox to reach into and talk about. But yeah, I don't even, does that did that help at all? Is there something that was that you're still unclear about? I'm not saying that what I gave was the answer, but again, if it helps even in the slightest, that's the goal. That's why I'm here. But yeah, I mean that it is a great question, because following through with the routine, you're gonna have hurdles, and whatever that hurdle is specific to you to an extent. But again, you just have to understand that life is just this ever evolving and revolving thing. It's not going to go according to plan all the time, or if at all. Help me. It's so wild how many of us deal with the same issues. Yeah, absolutely. I understand. I think acceptance and letting it run its course, as well as journaling. I used to sort of journal. It was more of a collection of notes and stuff, not structured log, but the sort of conclusions, but you lost them. Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, again, I understand if people are adverse to journaling. I personally am, although I also know the research to suggest that it's very effective, like very effective. But when I like journaling, whatever journaling looks like to you is what it is. Me, I'm more of like a brief little note taker. So my journaling would be, if I have a goal, it's I want to be, this is a broad goal, not specific enough, but in theory, I want to be a better person. What's going to make me a better person? Well, where am I at right now? What do I do in the daily right now? I'm like, I wake up, I spend 2 hours doom scrolling in my bed. I maybe brush my teeth. I maybe shower. Then I get around, I might drink a glass of water. Maybe I get a cup of coffee. Then I doom scroll again. I don't know, another 2 hours. I do this and I do this. I'm going to log that. So that's my baseline. This is where I'm at right now. And now I'm going to create a list of what I think would help me be better. So now I'm going to say when I wake up, I get up and I shower and I brush my teeth. And I'm going to maybe have a little excerpt of like doom scrolling and how many minutes. So if anything, the next day, I'm not just cutting out something that I've been doing on routine in my depressed state, in my unmotivated state. I'm not cutting it out entirely. But I can be like, you know what? Day 2, I only doom scrolled for an hour. I got up and I did brush my teeth and I did shower. Then I had my coffee. And then I went to the gym or whatever that looks like. And then the next day, I woke up, I doom scrolled for only 30 minutes. And then And now when I get unmotivated and I'm like 2-3 weeks in, 4 weeks in, and I'm like, fuck man, like I don't even think I'm any better of a person. Like I feel like shit. I'm unmotivated. I'm this and this. I can look back and have a visible journal of like, no, you know what? Where I'm at now, even in my off shit day today, I am still on my shit off day better than my baseline day 3 weeks ago. I am making progress and I am becoming better. We talked about in other episodes like self-affirmation, like acknowledge you have negative thoughts about yourself, but then also acknowledge that you're good at things. Also acknowledge that you're getting better at things. If you're not good yet, you're working towards becoming better. And here's the proof that you're better. It sounds cheesy, sounds stupid, but it's true. Our brains will manifest what we speak and what we think. So if you think and you speak ill of yourself, all of this will start wiring itself into a way that validates what you say. So if you say bad things, your mind, body, whatever, will validate those bad things and they will come true. So yeah, another little tangent there. But if there's any other questions, anything that anybody wants to talk about, feel free. I appreciate you sharing, Bronze. Yeah, we all get in those ruts. A lot of us stay in them for a long time. Yeah. But yeah. If there is no other question, no other concern, no other topic, I'm going to go ahead and do my sign off, which I still need to write to make it sound professional. But it is what it is. So first and foremost, everybody who was here, everybody who shared, everybody who just contributed in any way, thank you. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate it, even if you were just lurking and listening. My goal is to just create a community where people can turn to, they can look or think to themselves like, damn, this BS happened, or this is on my mind, this, whatever. But you know what? Thursday, between the hours, we're going to change it to 2 p.m., 4 p.m. Pacific time. I can come here and listen feel included, share whatever's going on in my life, lessen the burden, and move on. That's the goal. It's not me having these TED Talks. That's. I'm not a PhD yet. I'm not any of that. So while anybody is qualified to do research, and anybody would like to look at other people's research, that's not my main intention. It's just, I need filler. I need to develop that community. But the goal is to just, I come on, I go live, and people are talking. People have discussions. We talk about life. We talk about what's going on, mental health, the importance of it. And we all get better as a community. And again, if there's some misinformation that I had talked about that you find, correct me. I'm learning. I'm learning just as much. But if you do, correct me with backing. Give me a source. Give me why I was incorrect. And I will gladly talk about it and say, like, I was incorrect. Another disclaimer, again, as I said in the beginning, this is not a replacement for professional help. If you do have severe trauma, a disorder, anything like that, measures like this, like coming into this community or other communities like it, mental health supportive communities, can help, but seek a professional. Whether in 2 or 3 years that's me or anybody else, seek a professional. This is not a diagnosis. This is not an assessment. This is not giving protocols that are specific to healing traumas or disorders or anything like that. These are just anecdotes, suggestions, other people's research, a little bit of science, and just conversation. Let me go back. Thank you very much. Hopefully I will catch the whole stream next time. Absolutely. So I'm going to change it because they do yard work. It seems at 1 p.m. right outside my window. So 2 p.m., 4 p.m. Pacific time is going to be the new official time until it's not. But I will express when it's going to change. So Thursdays, 2 p.m., 4 p.m. Pacific time, we'll be here. We'll be talking and we'll be getting better. I hope to see you there. I got lucky today. It was a little later. Yeah. So maybe being later is better. And your mental health has been needing attention, especially getting motivated instead of floating through space feeling all empty. Yeah. Well, gotta find your purpose. Whether it's like your life purpose. I'm not, it doesn't have to be as drastic as that. But find your immediate purpose. Find what do you want? What do you want to do? Why? Why do you want to do it? Why is it important to you? As we talked about. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. This will be uploaded on the YouTubes. I will show it one more time. Shameless plug, although it's my own content. On the YouTubes, we will be, I be posting. I'll be posting every Thursday, Therapeutic Thursday, on its own playlist. So if you missed an episode, you can go back, you can watch it. Eventually, once I'm better at it or I can hire someone, it'll have bookmarks of like specifics when we talked about what, blah, 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 blah. But that's not where I'm at the moment. So if you missed it, feel free, go back, like it, comment on it if there's something that you would like me to reapproach in future episodes. Future episodes. But much love. Thank you guys very much for listening, contributing. We're all growing together, learning together, trying to become better human beings, whatever that looks like to you. I don't have an official sign-off yet. So if anybody has any ideas, feel free to message me. But with that being said, thanks again. And I will see you guys next week, 2 p.m., 4 p.m. Pacific time. Adios, you guys.